Welcome back to the Life by Design with Angela Weiss podcast, episode 10, The Gentle Reset, How to Live in the Waiting Without Losing Yourself While You're Waiting. This is part of the Waiting Room series from the Waiting Room book, which is available on Amazon. I am Angela Weiss, family and psychiatric mental health nurse practitioner, author, and someone who believes deeply that life is not something that we just survive. It's something that we build intentionally. Hopefully we do that. That's the goal, right? This podcast is a place where we talk honestly about emotional health, relationships, faith, and the quiet work of building a life that actually feels meaningful. Before we get started, I like to say this. This is not a polished podcast. I'm not a polished person, and real life is not either. Well, real life's not even a person, is it? Real life is not polished. You might hear the cats playing loudly. They tend to do that when I record. They might try to come into the frame. They do that as well. A dog might bark. I might sit outside and you'll hear the wind or the birds or the geese or the neighbors on their side-by-sides or their four-wheelers. All of that's okay because this is real life. And these conversations are meant to live inside real life, as real conversations do. Over the last few episodes, we've talked about what it feels like to just survive, what burnout actually looks like when it sets in, what it feels like to sit in the waiting with anxiety, with doubt, with questions, with wondering. And if you've been in that space for any amount of time, you start to notice something. It's not an easy place to sit. You get antsy. You're still showing up. You're still functioning, even if it doesn't feel like it. You're still doing what needs to be done, going to work, taking care of your family, taking care of everyone else. But you don't quite feel like yourself anymore. Maybe you just feel a bit disconnected. You're not in a crisis, but you're not fully connected either. Something just seems to feel off. You're somewhere in the in-between. You're not here and you're not there. And you'd rather be anywhere but here. And that space can feel really disorienting. But there's nothing dramatic to point to. There's no clear problem to fix, no obvious next step. Just this quiet awareness that something in you needs to be tended to, be changed, be different. And this is where a lot of people tend to turn on themselves. They start thinking, man, I should be further along. I should have figured things out by now. I need to get myself together. I really need to snap out of this. So they try to fix it. They make a new plan. They push harder and they try to force clarity. They try to become more disciplined. But what's actually happening underneath all of that is this. Your nervous system is still tired. So tired. You're still holding stress. So much stress. And you're still recovering today from yesterday, from last week, maybe even you're recovering from last year. So instead of helping, that pressure creates more overwhelm while you're waiting, more shutdown, in that waiting room, and more disconnection from everyone around you and disconnection from yourself. So then you start asking yourself, why can't I just get over this hump? Why can't I just get it together? What's wrong with me? I've been waiting for so long for the next thing to come along, and nothing is happening. And nothing is wrong with you during this time, even though it might feel like it. You're just trying to build with a system or rebuild with a system that hasn't had space to recover yet. And you're just kind of stuck in the waiting. And that's not a bad thing. Waiting is good. It prepares you for what you're waiting for. So let's reframe this. You're not in a failing season. That's not what's happening here. It doesn't mean that you're behind on something, because you can't be behind for what you're meant to do. And you're not lacking discipline or motivation, especially when you don't know what the next move is yet. You're in a phase of recovery and recalibration and quiet rebuilding. And quiet rebuilding is a beautiful place to be, even though it doesn't always feel like it, because when you look back, you'll see promising growth. And this place requires a completely different approach. This is where I want to introduce something I talk about often, and something that I've had to learn the hard way myself. Sometimes we just need to reset. So we need a gentle reset, not a full reset, not a fast reset, not a hard reset, not starting over, not becoming someone new, just something gentle. Just coming back to yourself slowly, softly. Before anything else, before decisions or plans or directions, you have to ask, am I regulated? Because when you're not regulated, everything feels urgent, especially when you're waiting. Everything feels heavy. Everything feels like it's too much. Everything feels so hard to get through. And your brain will try to solve that discomfort by overthinking, overplanning, overdoing, rethinking, keeping you up at night, replaying the conversations. But regulation doesn't come from doing more. It comes from slowing down. Quiet, consistency, consistently, and safety. Sometimes the most productive thing that you can do in a waiting system is to just sit outside, take a breath, rest, close your eyes, and do less. And I know that's hard, especially if you're used to being someone who holds a lot, carries a lot, gets things done, have a lot of people depending on you. Because doing less can always feel like, not always, can feel like you're just behind, that you're falling short. But in reality, doing less is actually how you reset, reboot, and come back online, right? Like when you have to reset your computer or your phone, that's how it comes back online. And the next piece is learning about how to lower the bar. Yeah, lower the bar. And this is where a lot of people struggle, because we tie our worth to our output. So we feel like if we're doing less, that we are less. but we aren't less. It's just a season. The goal here is not overperformance. The goal is stabilizing. The goal is stability. Instead of asking, what should I accomplish today? Ask yourself, what would support me today? How can I rest? How can I show up for me today? What are you doing to allow yourself to rest, to take time for you? It could be something small like going for a walk. It doesn't have to be miles. It doesn't have to be a mile. It could be around the block. It could be in place. Drink water. Answer an email. Sit outside for a few minutes. And you don't have to drink a gallon of water. Just drink some water. You don't have to sit outside for an hour. Sit outside for 5 minutes. Just because something is small does not mean it's insignificant. In fact, small is how you rebuild. One small step towards yourself at a time. And the next part of the gentle reset is reconnection, because burnout, waiting, and stress, they disconnect you from yourself. You start living in expectations, in pressure, in roles, in responsibility, in lists, constantly just checking things off. What do I have to do next? You lose touch with what you actually need. So the question becomes not what can I do today, but what do I need today? Not what can I get done today? Not what can I do to feel or look productive? That's not what we're looking for here. We're looking for what can I do that actually supports me, cares for me? That answer might change from day to day. That answer may change from hour to hour, minute to minute. And you're allowed to change, and that's okay. And the last piece of this is just allowing it to be slow. And this is the part a lot of people resist because we want progress to be visible. We want it to be fast, and we want proof. We want to know that it's working. Things don't have to be fast to be working. This kind of rebuilding while we're waiting is quiet. It's slow. It's not linear. You can go forward and go backwards. And go forward and go backwards. And some days will feel better. Some days you'll feel stronger. Some days you'll feel like you're making it, like you're resting or you're accomplishing rest. And some days will feel like nothing has changed, no matter what you do or what you don't. And neither of those days define your progress. Because healing and rebuilding do not look impressive, but they're happening. They're happening under the surface. They're happening where you don't even see big steps moving forward, but small things are happening. You don't have to become a new person. You don't have to change yourself. Everything doesn't have to be fixed. It doesn't have to be beautiful. It can be messy. Change can be hard. You just have to come back to yourself. Recenter yourself. Reset yourself. That's what happens in the waiting. And that's progress. So we've talked about surviving. We've talked about burnout. We've talked about waiting. This is the part where you begin to come back to you. You come back to you. Not dramatically at once, suddenly, not perfectly, but gently. Gently caring for you in ways that maybe you didn't before. Because if you don't have a gentle reset, you're going to be stuck in the waiting room longer. You have to reset to move forward. If this resonates with you, this is something I go deeper into in my book, The Gentle Reset, which I said before is available on Amazon. You can also find my daily blog and writing at my website, which I'll put in the show notes below. And if you like, you can connect with me on Instagram at Angela Weiss Author, or Facebook at Life by Design Press, or LinkedIn professionally, Angela Weiss. So new episodes for the podcast are released throughout the week on Tuesdays. We go deeper into emotional health and real life experiences. Thursdays are mini mental health episodes with practical tools and insights. And on Sundays, I have Faith Edition episodes where we bring in a spiritual perspective. And I hope that if you enjoyed this, you'll share it with others so that they can find some benefit from it as well. This podcast is intended for educational and reflective purposes only and is not a substitute for medical or mental health care. And listening to the podcast does not establish a provider-patient or therapeutic relationship with me. If you're struggling or you're in crisis, please seek appropriate professional support. In the United States, you can call or text 988, the Suicide and Crisis Lifeline, or you can call 911 in an emergency. Thank you again for spending your time with me. Thank you for showing up for yourself. I'm so proud of you for doing that. Take what you need, leave what you don't, and keep living your life by design. I'll see you on Thursday.